Righto guys, so you've been asking for this one for a while now. Finally managed to get a stock standard 200 series, 2016 200 series, 23,000k on the clock, straight from the car park, straight onto the dyno there. Rich is tying it down now. So the only modification I can see, it's got some fans on the cooler there. All than that, completely stock standard. Another thing done to it, tyre size is a 295, so a fair bit bigger than standard. A couple of accessories on top there. Snorkel, there you go, Safari Armax snorkel. What do you reckon? What do you reckon's going to make standard?
110-ish, 120-ish?
110, 120 on these tyres, yep.
Yeah, 100. I guess we'll find out.
Indeed, cool. Alright, so hang around, watch, see what a stock standard 200 gets with a Unichip tune down the track. So this one's a standard run to start with. Let's have a look. Right, so we did just notice that it's got an aftermarket lockup kit as well. So some of you guys are going to wonder if it's going to interfere with the Unichip or not. So Rich, what do you reckon? How's that work? What happens
so
with it?
we'll run it without the lockup on at all. Basically because the majority of the ones we do don't have a lockup kit. You can see it's been wired into the factory harness. Another benefit of the Unichip harness is you can avoid this simply by having it wired into the Unichip harness, which means it's still not touching the factory wiring. It remains a plug and play. Yep. It's not invasive. So yeah, there's plenty of aftermarket options that we can do using the Unichip harness and the Unichip product itself to prevent doing any sort of invasive cutting or wiring on your factory harness.
Yeah. So it can go directly into the Unichip harness.
Yeah, correct. Yep.
That's handy. Awesome. Cool. There you go. Another advantage to it. Walking into the stock room. Look at this. Look at what stuff they've got in here. It's awesome. Righto. So got everything. What have we got here? What's this one? So got the Uni X for that one. What car does this fit?
The driver is Land Cruiser specific, but the Uni X behind it will fit anything. It's the same chip as what I would use on a C63 right through to a Suzuki Swift. So it's basically all about how it's programmed and custom tuned to suit. Yeah.
So I had a couple of people message me on Instagram. Follow on Instagram if you don't as well. Actually, these guys as well. These guys do a really cool story on Instagram. It's funny as, you need to check it out. I'll put the link down here. I had a couple of people ask, like 76 series.
Yep.
Fits.
Same.
Y62s.
Same.
There was Navaras.
Yep, same.
Same.
All of them are the same. So basically the Uni X is our latest chip. It's equivalent IP68 rated, waterproof, dustproof, shockproof, everything like that. Yep. So for all the guys who go off-road and drown their cars and stuff like that, then they've got nothing to worry yourself. They've got nothing to worry about, won't get wet.
Awesome, cool. So they're pretty much just, it's a module by itself and you guys put the tune onto it.
Yeah, well we can talk, I'll talk you through that, how we've got a base tune for every car.
Oh, yeah?
And then from there we'll custom tune it to suit the specific car that we're installing it on.
Alright, so basically, the Unichip itself is just a base model to hold all the tunes. So what are we doing at the moment?
So all the chips come to us unprogrammed, they're blank. So they've got essentially if we plug this straight into the car won't start. We've got a base map to suit all different models, so 200 series DPF model, non-DPF model, 79s, etc. What we do is we load a base model onto the Unichip itself. This way here we can plug the harness in, plug the chips in, the car will start. It'll give us somewhere to begin our tuning with, and from there it's custom tuned to suit the car, and its modifications being exhaust, snorkel, or anything else that it's got.
Cool. So are there any limitations to this over, say, other brands of this or even the factory ECU?
No, so like I was saying before, we're at the dyno. We can do more than just, you know, what people think. A lot of people don't know the capabilities of the Unichip. We get guys who come in who want an output to trigger a relay for water spray over their intercooler and things like that. The Unichip can do all of that, and it can do it all 3D through 3D mapping, meaning it can be via throttle position and RPM or boost and RPM or anything like that. So the opportunities and the capabilities are essentially endless. We can, if you can think of it, there's a good chance we can tune it to suit.
Inbuilt safety, how's the power monitored?
Okay, so the inbuilt safety is we monitor the engine temperature. Basically what that means is it's a very fine-tuned sort of monitoring. If the engine temperature, for example, it's a 40-degree day and you're towing your caravan up a big hill and the engine starts to get warm, the Unichip will automatically derate the strength of the tune on a sliding scale, so it'll pull the fuel back so that you don't end up running too rich or doing any sort of engine damage. And then once you get over the hill and the car's cooled down, then it'll reintroduce the tune. It'll all happen in the background. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah. So in the case of, say, a 200 series, because that's what we're toying with today,
yep.
Where's peak performance? Where does it start to pull back from, and when is it completely off?
So peak performance is operating temperature, which is around about 88 degrees on one of those. When it gets up towards in the 90s, it'll start to pull it back. Anything hotter than that, it'll derate it completely. Obviously, as it comes down again, it'll automatically reintroduce it.
Cool. There you go. Inbuilt safety. Not much can go wrong, really. Right, so what would be the advantage of monitoring the coolant temps over, say, EGT temps? Why do you guys choose coolant?
We choose coolant for a variety of reasons. First of all, it's more accurate. It's also in real time, essentially would be one way to look at it. It's responsive. If your EGT temperatures have gone up, it's after the fact. Something has already happened in order to raise those temperatures, and the response time isn't really sensational. So for EGTs to climb, it's not instant. Your engine temperature responds a lot faster. That coolant temperature responds a lot faster to that. We can do EGT probes. It's old software now. It's an old way of monitoring and protecting an engine. So that's probably the main reason why, is that engine coolant temp responds a lot faster. So if your engine starts to warm up, it'll send the signal to the Unichip instantly, and the Unichip can work out from there whether it's pulling the tune out or anything like that. Off an EGT, something would have had to happen and continuously be happening for your engine temperature to rise, your EGT temperature to rise, and the response time, then the Unichip will still operate the same way, but that signal to the Unichip is a lot slower than engine temperature.
Cool.
So, yeah, that's why, simply.
There you go. So maybe chuck down in the comments what you guys think, whether you think EGTs or coolant temps. Cool debate. Installation wise, what's involved? What are you got to do?
So there's two plugs on the factory computer, essentially a small and a big plug. You unplug the two plugs, our harness intercepts those two plugs, so our big block plugs into the factory harness and that end will go into the computer. Same with the small, and essentially that is it. So it really is as simple as plugging into the factory harness.
There you go. So big plug in the big plug, small plug in the small plug. Small power. It's kind of, not quite yet.
We'll get there.
We'll get there, yeah. What if, hypothetical, what if something was wrong with the car?
Yep.
And you had to take it to Toyota? What's the go? What are you going to do?
So you want to remove it?
You'd remove it or just delete it, or
yep, you would
Toyota actually crack the shits about it or not?
Look, like with everything that you would do on the car, Toyota would crack the shits about the fans on the intercooler, the lift kit. If you went to Toyota with a completely unrelated diff issue with a lift kit on it, they're going to point the finger at something. The Unichip is, it doesn't void your factory warranty. It's completely approved. But for the simple fact is, just remove it when you take it back to anywhere for a warranty claim, and it just takes that grey area out of it, and it takes away the finger pointing. It's as simple as that.
So I can actually vouch for the Toyota approving it, because I was talking to the owner of this car, and he was asking Toyota about getting different mods done to the car and everything else, and they actually suggested getting a Unichip over any other version that's out there. So just that alone speaks wonders for what the product is and what these guys can do for it. So there is a big question about remaps versus aftermarket ECUs as well. So as far as warranty goes and Toyota, do they actually know if you've done a remap or not? Like, is that possible for them to figure it out?
Most modern computers have what's called a flash counter on them. Essentially what that means is every time you do a flash, you know, whether it be a retune or a firmware update at Toyota, it counts it. So if you've had one firmware update done at Toyota and the next time you take it in you've had 9, they're obviously going to know that that you've had the car flashed. Even putting it back to standard counts as a flash. The Unichip leaves no electronic footprint, so what that means is if it's removed, Toyota or whoever can't tell that it was ever there. It doesn't manipulate the factory signals in any way. So yeah, it's a bomb-proof and foolproof way of tuning your car without leaving any sort of footprint.
Cool. So there you go. So remaps actually leave a footprint and can void warranties if Toyota want to be a bit of a pain in the ass. But this thing can be completely removed. Wouldn't even know it was there. You don't have to cut into factory harnesses. Nothing. There. Unichip's on. It's not finished yet, but obviously it's going to tune it first. And then we can tidy it all up and make it look nice. So first run was 117 and 580 newton meters. So we've uploaded the base tune. Now it's time to actually tune the car rather than just the base tune. This is a bit of custom part. Every single Unichip gets custom tune like this. It's good. That's just the first run at the moment. Probably going to get some more than that. Obviously, we've just got to slowly build it up and get the tune right and refine it before we just dump a whole bunch of everything in there. There we go, so we ended up at 161.8 from a stock standard with a DPF, without a tune, 117, with the Unichip now, 161.8, no other modifications. It's got 295 tyres on it, so they're a full 33 inch, 33.2 inch I think they are tyre. That's bloody impressive considering mine's a 32.6 inch and I got 166 without a DPF because my car doesn't have it. There's bugger all in that, really. Like, granted this thing's got less kilometres on it, so it's probably a little bit tighter and just things are probably slightly nicer. So really, I don't think DPFs make a massive difference. Like, it's my opinion, just based on those numbers alone. What do you reckon, Rich? They're pretty good numbers. Like, do you reckon DPFs make that much of a difference from obviously, that's pretty close to what I got.
Yeah, look, the DPFs do flow really well on these. We've done stacks of work as far as high flowing them, changing the style of DPF. There's a little bit in them, yep. But the real difference is in having a custom tune, in having the car tuned to start with.
That's massive.
Yeah.
Well, I got 166, ever so slightly smaller size, it's like 0.3 of an inch smaller.
Yep.
And it's got, what, 5 kilowatts less than mine?
Yeah, and like I showed you before, even when I was running it, I had the AFRs up, so you saw where it was standing, you saw it was afterwards. It's down about 1 point in the AFR. Yep. So from whatever it was 19-ish or 20-ish, and it's down to 18. So plenty safe in the AFR. You know, it's just a good, safe, reliable tune, and the results speak for themselves.
That's huge. So 160 kilowatts in any four-wheel drive, that's massive. And what, 760 or 780 newton meters of torque. Just amazing. And that's purely from the chip. Obviously, there are some aftermarket mods that you can do that might not necessarily be legal, so don't do them. But if you did happen to remove the DPF, I think there's probably a little bit more in it. Definitely not recommended, but your choice if you want to do it. I don't care. So yeah, because I know you guys are going to ask, boost. What sort of boost we're running. Obviously it wasn't monitored during the actual tune itself. So Mr. Rich, what happened?
Okay,
you're monitoring boost? Or?
Yeah, of course we are. Yep. We monitor boost on everything that we do that's obviously force inducted. The benefit to the Unichip software is we've got our own inbuilt map sensor. It's true map sensor, so it is relaying the exact boost that the engine is seeing. You would have seen on the video prior to this while it was on the dyno a little red worm trace come across the screen. Basically what that does is it actively draws where the boost is at. So you can see on the left hand side of the Unichip program here that I've set it up so it's in PSI. So starting down here at 2 and going right up to 30. So you would have noticed that that little worm trace went up to 23 pound, which is where I tune it to. It's a safe level of boost, they perform there, they're happy. We don't need to go any higher than that, and like I said, the AFRs stay in a really safe range. So yeah, people who think that we weren't monitoring boost, every car we do. Some of them we need to connect the boost up on the dyno, some of them we've got predetermined programs on the Unichip software to do it. So yeah, always monitoring boost.
Alright guys, so that's it for the dyno one. So that's a stock standard 200 series running a 295 tyre. No other modifications, from 117 kilowatts to 161 I think it was there. That's pretty good for a DPF model, I reckon, so that's awesome. Obviously don't forget to like and subscribe. Come down and see Unichip, they're bloody fantastic what they do. Anyway, see you in the next one guys.